Okay, we're going to make a scatter plot from the data that's over here. I'll start by highlighting the x variable and the y variable, and then insert a scatter plot. So this is the symbol here for a scatter plot. There's lots of options, just changing how the dots are either connected or not connected, smooth lines or straight lines. We're just going to look at dots for right now. Okay, so I have the graph, drag it over here and make it bigger so you can see where the dots fall along the chart. Now the x-axis here is representing 2016 population in millions. The y-axis is projected population change by 2050 in percentage. I'd like to put labels on here so we can remember what each of these variables is supposed to represent. I can do that by going up to Add Chart Element, Axis Titles, Primary Horizontal. So now I can add in 2016 population in millions, and then go back here to add a vertical title, and that is projected population change by 2050, and it's a percentage. Okay, I could also have a title. I've got the axes labeled. I don't need a title, so I'll delete that. Now there's other things that we can do here to make the graph look prettier. One of those would be making the font bigger. So if I have the whole chart selected, I can go back to Home and set the font to 16, so now it'll be a little bit more readable. I can also change the dots. I can make them bigger or smaller. I can make them different shapes, and I can change the color. So to do that, I'll click on one of the data points, which highlights them all, and then right-click Format Data Series. Now over here I will have the choice of lots of different options. The paint bucket is where you can change the color and sizes of the markers. I don't have any lines on this graph, so I'll go to marker options. So the first one, there's lots of built-in shapes, so let me make them squares and make the size 8. Okay, so that one's all set. Fill, that's what goes inside the dots. Is there a color, or are they just circles? Again, lots of different options. Maybe I'll just make them red. And the border of the markers can also be changed, so I'll make that also red. Alright, plenty of other things you could be doing, but this will be enough for right now on the markers. So now you see I have square markers. They're a little bit bigger and they're red in color. Okay, a couple more things I want to do. I'd like to know what the correlation is here. So let me right click again on the data, and instead of Format Data Series, I'm going to add a trend line. And for the trend line, and right now using a linear trend line, so it's a straight line. I can name it if I want. I'm not going to do that right now. Forecast it forward or backward, so send the line further this way, send the line further this way. I don't want to do any of that. Set where the y-intercept is, like where it crosses the y-axis. Display what the equation is on the chart. I don't really care about that right now. I'm interested in the correlation. And the correlation is represented by this R number. And in Excel, instead of giving you just R, it gives you R squared. And when you square it, it means it's always going to be a positive. So if the correlation's negative, the R squared is still going to be a positive number. Okay, so I'm going to display that on the chart right here. Bring it up. Okay, now just to make it look even prettier, the line is blue, the dots are red. Maybe I want the line to be red also. I can click on the line and go back to the paint can and make the line red. Okay. And so now we have the correlation number correlations can range from 0 to 1, and so this is somewhere in the middle. And I can see that in the data. It's not a perfect correlation, but there is sort of a trend from the top left over here down to the bottom right. So as the population increases, the projected population change decreases. So when you have lower population, you would expect that the change in population percentage-wise will be greater. There's sort of more room to grow over here, and there's less room to grow over here. Over here, when you have really, really high population, you actually expect the population to decrease a little bit. So that's about it. We have a graph of this data with a line plotted, which helps us visualize the correlation, and we can actually put the number on here so we can see that it's a moderate correlation.